Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tottie Wati to be exact. And remember, I ain't not got it all, but I'm on my way to go get it. See the title of this video, I'm gonna be discussing a friend turned foe, the end of a 8-year friendship that has gone down the drain due to a spring break gone wrong and some bad decisions. So stay tuned and let's get into the video. All right, y'all, so let's get into this video. So I'm just gonna give you a little backstory on my ex-friend. I am going to call her, let's call her Lonely. That name fits pretty well, but the fact that she ended up closing a lot of opportunities for herself and ruining our friendship, and just, you know, she's the type of person that, I would say she's the type of person that ruins things for herself, sells herself short, and judges those around her for receiving their blessings because she's not staying in her own lane and focusing on herself and getting hers. So me and Lonely met in high school. We were really close, actually. We have a similar upbringing and backstory with the way our parents raised us and us both being the black sheeps of our family, if you sort of say. And growing up, I bounced around and moved to in between 2 different high schools, and no matter where I went and how I went about my high school experience in my teenage years, we always reconnected, you know, met up in person, phone calls, we would go to the mall, hang out, and all this, that, and the third. So most of our friendship experiences happened later on after high school, once we were in college and growing up. I did most of my college and my stuff online because I chose to work while going to school, after work, or online. She, on the other hand, did the full university experience, living in the dorms, roommating, all that stuff. So from time to time when I had chances to you know, go visit and drive down to see her wherever she was, I would take the opportunity, you know, just to live in that lane for a little bit. You know, I wasn't focused on that specific time in my life just because I felt like I had a lot going on and I needed to speed up my process and get my paper while I was going to school. So yeah, so there's that. And while we were there, we would party and hang out and things of that nature. I have never been the type to like go hard in the party life with the drugs and the alcohol. I've never been that type of girl. But her, on the other hand, she, you know, was experimenting with, you know, different stuff as in the college lifestyle and relationships and talking to different people, and even like some wild explicit stuff that I would never see myself doing. But hey, if that's what you want to do, girl, have at it. Do your thing. But other than that, we both decided to go on, you know, similar journeys in a young girl's life. I remember Megan Good came out with the book, what is it, The Weight or whatever. So we were reading that book. We were talking about celibacy. We both did, you know, recent big chops, and we had TWAs, and we was just living, you know, girls just living a life, enjoying ourselves, whatever. And as the days and the years went by, you know, I was doing my thing and dating my share of guys or whatever, and she was doing hers. And I remember it was one holiday break where she had ended up coming into town, and she was staying at home with her parents and her family, and she had ended up going out with one of her friends. And this friend she went out with is a mutual friend of both of ours. I don't want to say she's my friend, but she's my acquaintance, the other girl she went out with. And they ended up going downtown. I lived about 30 minutes away from downtown where they was at. Her and the other girl that she's known for years, longer than me and her relationship. Their relationship stems back like to early childhood. They ended up getting into it at one of the bars that they were at that night. The girl ended up beating her up, punching her, giving her a black eye, and she called me in the middle of the night to come pick her up and help her out of her situation because the girl beat her up and left her or whatever. And this story happened so long ago. I don't even remember why she ended up getting her ass whooped that night. But all I know is, being the friend that I am and having the heart that I am, I ended up getting up out of my bed at about, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, going to get her, bring her back to my place, making her a pallet on my couch, and giving her, the frozen peas and steak and chicken and shit that I had in my freezer to put on her face to help the swelling go down in her eye or whatever. So I think, long story short, they had ended up falling out over a dude, or somebody was acting crazy or feeling some type of way about a dude in the club. They ended up getting into it, and that's how that night ended. That's red flag number one. Something I didn't really seem to pay attention to. But now, looking back on my experience and how things ended with us, yeah, it's starting to make sense. The math is mathing for sure. So that happened. And then that morning, I ended up, waking up, making her breakfast in bed. And we were just kicking it and talking before I had to drop her back off at home so she can get back to school the following days or whatever. And I distinctively remember us having a conversation about like my living circumstances or whatever. And at that time, I was working, going to school, and I had a roommate. I had moved out of my parents' house, and I think I was gone for about 2 years at this time. And she was just asking me like, how are you able to do this? And I'm just like, do what? Me being gullible and not understanding exactly what she was saying or how she was like giving off the statement. She was asking me like, how are you able to do the things that you do? And at this time I was working. I haven't finished school yet or nothing. I was working like a dog. I think I had 2 jobs at the time. I had a brand new car. I had, my half in my shared apartment. I was going out, enjoying myself, and just, managing myself, being a young lady or whatever. And for some reason, she didn't grasp the concept of how I was able to manage all this stuff and why I was receiving everything that I was. So I was just like, girl, I work, I go get what I want, and it is what it is. I don't know what else to tell you or what explanation you're trying to get at or you want me to tell you, but there's no magic behind it. I'm just doing what I want to do, and things are just adding up, and things are just coming my way. So after I ended up dropping her back off at her family home, she ended up going back to school or whatever. And time goes by, right? And as the time of the year is still going by, I ended up going down where she was one more time. And at this time, we had ended up going to church, right? I was working at one of the local high schools at the time, and one of my students had passed. And one of my cousins was really close to the student's mom, and they needed somebody to read, I think it's called the eulogy. I'm not too familiar. I've only had to speak at a funeral one time, but this was a pretty big one at one of the biggest Black churches here in Phoenix. So I was really nervous about, speaking in front of a group of people and giving a speech and doing all of that. And me being, little me, I was very surprised that I was given the opportunity to do this and not like one of the principals or administration or any of those people. So I felt like I had a lot of pressure on me. I was really nervous. And of course, if someone asks you to do something like this, of course you don't turn it down. So we ended up going to a church that was close to her school. And we had a good time. It was like a real revival in there. I don't know if y'all real churchy or whatever, but grandma had us in the church every Sunday growing up or whatever. So I ended up going there with her, and we had a really good time. And then it was time for altar call. And when I tell you, I felt, that presence in that room, and everybody, all the elders was laying hands on me. I'm crying, and we're just going through the motions. I'm just asking for strength and this, that, and the third, because I got to get up and do this. And I don't know why God has put this on my plate to do this, but I can't let them down. I got to do this, blah, 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 blah. And in the middle of the sermon, in the middle of all that's going on, I just feel eyes on me. And it wasn't like, oh, go girl, you my friend. I know you're going to do good. God is blessing you. You can do this. It was just like, no. Like, why did all the people at the church get up and surround you and pray for you and do this for you when they never did that for me? And I'm just like, girl, what is you talking about? What is your problem? I thought we was on a positive journey. We had all this stuff going on. And then again, it stems back to why you, what's going on, why this never happens for me, blah, 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 blah. Red flag number 2. So that ended up happening. Church ended. I ended up taking her back home, and she then goes on to tell me about the relationship problems she was having during the time. So at this time, we both were, I want to say pretty broken young women. I had just experienced like a breakup, and I also had a miscarriage from one of my relationships. So I was like dealing with a lot of like depression and a lot of stuff that was like taking me away from being myself, you know, the person I am. And she was dealing with a dude that she was dating, and the dude ended up having a baby on her, but I don't even know how exclusive their relationship was. But the dude ended up having a baby on her, so to say, and she was just fighting her healing process and still dealing with the dude and asking questions and just going through a unnecessary bullshit that I felt like she should have been cut off. Long story short, so all that was going on, and then that's when I realized she was really having psychiatrical issues. Like I found out she was taking medication for anxiety, depression, and she had a lot of like internal stuff going on that she never shared with me before. But that's neither here nor there. I wasn't judging her based off of, you know, what she was going through and the type of medication and shit she was on. But as a friend, if I know you're going through that type of stuff, you know, I give you a little grace and let you deal with whatever you deal with, and I don't, you know, come at you like that. But this last incident I'm gonna get at, the one that tore up our 8-year friendship, the straw that broke the camel's back. So like I told y'all, we're going through all this different stuff, his healing journey. We young out here in the world trying to grow, trying to, you know, just experience life. And at this time, I had, you know, recovered from everything I was going through. I don't know if I was, yeah, I think I had recovered from everything I was going through. I had really got back into church and just was looking towards a positive light. Like I needed a positive outlet. Ooh, I don't know if I'm glowing up. My face is greasy. Y'all gotta excuse me. But yeah, I was just looking for a positive outlet or whatever, and I ended up just pouring myself into work. I ended up getting a promotion opportunity. I ended up working at a different school, had my own office. Like, your girl was just popping big shit, like on it. At 21, your girl was doing her thing or whatever. And with that promotion came a lot of extra money I was making and stuff like that. So me being the person I am, I'm like, you know what? I'm always coming to visit you, doing this, doing that. She had ended up graduating from college and ended up moving to California or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I want to come visit. I haven't been to Cali since I was a little girl or whatever. Let's beat the streets and let's go see what LA is like. So all that was happening. We was discussing plans and doing this and doing that. And then she was telling me about Tinder. Prior to this, I have never experienced anything on a dating app. I have a bunch of Tinder stories that I want to tell you guys or whatever. So, but this was my first experience with Tinder. And she was like, yeah, you should just get on the app. You can make friends. You can do this. You can do that. So I'm like, you know what? I didn't been through everything. I didn't been through in these past couple years. So fuck it. Let's get the app. So I ended up downloading the app, and I ended up meeting up with one of these dudes or whatever. And he was a pretty nice dude. I ended up meeting with one of these dudes, and dude was pretty nice, pretty cool and chill, and we had a lot of things in common. And I remember going over to his place. He had just moved to Arizona, a recent college graduate or whatever. And he had came out to the city to get a tech job or whatever. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. I hope you like it. I can show you around. I'm from here. Da, 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 da. I don't know if y'all from where I'm from, but when the out-of-towners come to the city and you're interested, girl, you got to be the one to hop on it and take the opportunity like that. Because if not, girl, these Phoenix streets will tear them up. It'd be connecting the web. It'd be, you know, too many people. Like it's like I don't even know how to describe it. Out-of-towners don't become out-of-towners too long, because the people that's from here, once you mess with somebody, you notice that, and the third, everybody know everybody and talk to everybody, and you shortly become an in-town person really, really quick based off of the company you keep or whatever. So all that stuff was happening. So I went over there, I was kicking with him, and he had, like, you know, his head on his shoulders, you know, recent, I don't want to call him a recent graduate because he was older than me at the time. He's the age I am now, so I don't want to call him a recent graduate, but he was coming out here looking to start his life over. Just got a brand new job, relocating, had a penthouse suite apartment and all this shit. And this was a different type of dude that I ended up talking to. I don't want to say I dated him because we never did date. This was somebody like I was just like cool with, like really cool with or whatever. So I ended up befriending him, and we was hanging out or whatever and things of that nature. And you know, it was just given pretty much like home girl and homeboy. For some reason, I always like feel like that's the type of setting I always put myself in, not knowing my beauty and like really thinking people could be attracted to me. I always just throw myself in as like a homegirl, and then later on realizing like, hey, was dude trying to really shoot his shot at me, and I just like put myself in the friend zone or whatever. I don't know. That's just something that's just natural to me. So me and let's give him a name. I was calling him Juice. So if you're watching this video and you know who this is, it don't matter, because at the end of the day, this is the true video and this is what happened. So far we got my ex-friend Lonely and Juice. So as me and Juice continue to be friends and hang out and chill more and more often, I ended up telling Lonely about everything about the app and who I linked up with and how everything was so cool. And then Juice has a friend from work that also relocated. And you know how like when partners link up and different dudes, they be like, oh, where your friends at? Where your friends at? And at the time, I didn't really have too many available friends or friends in general, because everybody was working and going to school and, you know, living their lives or whatever. So I was like, oh, I got this homegirl named Lonely. She come in and out of town every so often, but she live out in Cali now. And these dudes was from the Midwest and from the South, so they've never even been to Cali at all. So I ended up having Lonely send me a picture of her to show to Juice's friend, and we gonna call him Xylophone. I don't know why, but we gonna call him Xylophone. So I ended up Lonely ended up sending me the picture, and I sent it to Xylophone, and I'm like, oh, this is the picture of my homegirl, what you think? Blah blah blah. And he was like, oh yeah, she's cute, she this, she that, put me on. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I ended up exchanging their numbers amongst them and letting them go off and do their thing. And then another holiday rolled around, and Lonely ended up coming into town, and I ended up picking her up. And I'm like, all right, cool. I know you've been talking to Xylophone. Let's go over there and let's see, you know, let's see how this work out. So we ended up having a game night, movie night, or whatever. I mean, game night and movie night or whatever at Xylophone's house. And Xylophone had a penthouse apartment too, own car, and they had a motorcycle. Like they had it. And I feel like us being young ladies, we ain't never dated no dudes that ever had their shit together, let alone had money, was educated, and had their own place. And you know, this was a whole new world, a whole new adventure for us. So, you know, we all excited, we geeked and girly and doing all the shit that we doing. So yeah, me, Lonely, and Juice ended up going to Xylophone's house, and we had a really good time. But the whole time we were there, it was so awkward. She made things so awkward. If you have like a homegirl or a girl you cool with, y'all need to discuss like y'all manners and how y'all gonna act around dudes, because don't just get around people and just start acting out and showing your ass. And that was a real embarrassing thing for me, because the whole time we was there, we was playing Uno. I think we played Uno, dominoes. We was listening to music from back in the day and just enjoying ourselves. And the whole time she's like steady putting pressure on me and Juice, like, oh, why don't y'all just be together? You like her. You need to, I wish I was more like her. Y'all just so cool. Y'all just look so good together. And the whole time me and him is just looking at each other like, girl, nah, what are you talking about? This ain't that. This ain't that. And I'm just like, just chill out. Why would you even say something like that when, you know, I got other things going on in my life. He got other things going on in his life, and we just kicking it and we just cooling. Like, don't force me into no relationship with nobody that I ain't signed up for. You do your thing, but don't put me in shit that I ain't asked for. So that was really awkward. And the night just went on, and she just kept making like slight comments like this and whatever. So I think her and Xylophone really kicked it off because I ended up leaving lonely over there with him. She ended up spending the night with him over there, and they had a good time and things like that. I just want to put a pin in the story because you remember, we still going through our different journeys, you know, that Making Good book that came out, we were still reading that, and we were still talking about celibacy and all this shit. Meanwhile, we still kicking it and hanging out with these dudes or whatever. So spring break ends up rolling around. Everybody works a really odd schedule to the point where we had like a day, like almost a week off of work. I know working at the school, I had like the summer, spring break off with the kids when they would go, and then they had a weird schedule to the point where they had like consecutive days off of work. So I'm like, you know, it's spring break. I just got my bonus. You know, I feel like I'm balling. Let's go. Let's go out and let's go to LA for the spring. And they was like, oh, cool, I'm with it. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do that. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, cool. All right. So I hit Lonely up and I'm like, hey, girl, we coming out there to surprise you. We coming out there to surprise you. We doing a full spring break trip to the point where we had Airbnb. We got an Airbnb. We got rentals. We rented hotel rooms with a beachside view, and these hotel rooms had jacuzzis in them and all that stuff. Like we went all out. I looked up restaurants. We was just gonna have a real good time. I had all this stuff planned. We was gonna do. We was gonna hit Crenshaw. We was gonna go to the Slauson swap meet. We was gonna do all that stuff. We was gonna go into the comedy club and all that over these a few days that we was gonna spend in LA or whatever. So the dudes was with it. We ended up getting up that morning and going, getting ready to go. We ended up leaving late as hell. I think we ended up leaving like 8 hours late. 8 hours later than what we was gonna leave because we had got up that morning and I was at Juice's house and his fucking crown, his front tooth fell out his fucking mouth. And I'm just thinking to myself, damn. Like if it ain't one thing, it's another. But luckily, me being the person I am, I had giving him some details of where I got my teeth done and everything, and they are in emergency dental office or whatever. So he went in and got his, you know, his crown replaced and everything like that, and that set us back 8 hours. But luckily he was able to get his teeth done and set up a payment arrangement and everything like that. So that was pretty good. So the boy teeth fell out. The morning started with us waking up. The nigga teeth fell out his mouth. We had to wait till he got his replacement. Wasn't nobody packed, so I had to wait for them to pack. We had to go down there and get a rental. Getting a rental was so hard because I don't know if I was working for Enterprise at this time. I don't think I started working there yet. But you know, when you rent a car, you got to put a credit card on file. But if you don't put a credit card on file, it's a $200 hold on the card and all this, that, and that. And I was the youngest at the time. I'm always the youngest in all my friend groups, but I was the youngest at the time. And he didn't want to put up the 200 on the rental car. We were supposed to split everything 3 ways and blah, 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 blah. So all that shit was just going and going and going and going and going. To the point where we ended up getting a rental and we ended up beating the streets and getting to LA. And we ended up getting there late and we checked into our Airbnb. It was really nice. For some reason, I don't know why when we went out there, she would not let us know where she lived. She would not let us know where she worked. And we couldn't pick her up. She would always catch the train, get dropped off, or Uber. She was not like rolling with us like that or whatever. So that was another situation where it's like, the whole reason for us coming out here was for us to hang with you. And for some odd reason, you making yourself really unavailable to the people who spent bread to come out here to see you and kick it with you, and you don't got to pay for shit or whatever. So whatever, we ended up getting to the Airbnb, checking in. It was real nice, real amazing. A 2-bedroom, 1 bath, little, I don't know if it was a townhouse, regular house, I don't know what they call it out there, but we ended up checking in or whatever. And we had planned on going out that night just to a little bar and go out to eat, and we had a comedy show planned. So she ended up coming and we ended up taking pictures and just hanging out at the house or whatever. And she ended up bringing a bottle. I don't drink like that. I don't even know if the dude's drunk like that, but she ended up bringing a bottle of Slurricane. Y'all know that Slurricane by E40, that gasoline, that shit's strong as hell. That's what she ended up drinking, and she ended up mixing it, and she was drinking on that. Meanwhile, we're still on our journey to becoming prosperous young women, but yet this bitch is drinking already. So we ended up going to the comedy club, enjoying ourselves. It was pretty cool. We seen what's that nigga name from the Parkers? Mr. Ogilvy. We ended up seeing Mr. Ogilvy at the comedy club or whatever, and it was cool. And then we ended up coming back to the house, and at the house we was just kicking it, playing games, listening to music, and enjoying ourselves. So get me right, this house had a kitchen, a full kitchen, bathroom, a big ass living room with like a long U-shaped sofa that wrapped around the whole room, and then there was 2 bedrooms. So she didn't make it clear if she was gonna be spending the night or not, but she was already drinking, and I had already made my decision. I was getting one of the beds because I broke bread, so I was getting one of the beds or whatever, and we ended up going on our separate sides of the room. She was in the room with Xylophone. Lonely and Xylophone was in the room, and me and Juice was in the room. Now, I didn't been to this dude's house before, slept on his couch, slept in his bed, whatever. So I didn't have no problem, going in there, going to sleep or whatever. We're still on our celibacy journey. So she ended up going, spending the night with Xylophone or whatever. They ended up knocking the boots, and he ended up beating her back in. And by the time the morning comes, we all get dressed, and we got plans to go shopping and hit the malls and hit the streets or whatever, to do whatever we had to do. And she had to go to work. So I think she ended up leaving. I don't know if she left before I woke up, but she ended up leaving before she could say bye to me. And I ended up getting up early in the morning, doing my makeup and getting ready to go, because we was checking out of the Airbnb, and we was going to our next hotel by the beach or whatever. So as me, Juice, and Xylophone end up packing up the Airbnb, cleaning up everything, and rolling to our next location, which was the mall. We just discussing everything that happened. I'm seeing if they like the West Coast, how they like the weather, what they think of the food, are they enjoying themselves, just checking in to see how the trip is going so far. And these niggas is giggling and laughing, acting like little boys or whatever. And Xylophone pretty much said they had a really good time last night. Him and Lonely got it in, and this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, I'm in the room drooling and got my wig and slid back off my head, and I give him a damn. And I'm sleeping good, and this nigga doing whatever he doing. But, I was in there asleep. And he just pretty much told me they had a good time and all this stuff or whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm surprised all of that happened the way it did. And it kind of caught me off guard, just because, my homegirl, being my homegirl, we was just discussing, the type of shit we was on and how we was planning on living, and we was going to be goodies and all this other stuff. And not, go through some of the situations we had already been through in the past with different dudes or whatever. But guess who broke the code? Guess who didn't live up to what the fuck she was talking about? Yeah, it was Lonely. She that bitch, she just turned her back on everything. All her goals and shit just went down the drain, which is fine. I'm not being too judgmental. She grown, she can do whatever she want to do. But wait till this next part. So we ended up checking in with her. She tell us, she had made it to work, all this, that, and third. And the whole time, I'm on this nigga Xylophone's top. I'm on his head. Like, yeah, I understand everything happened the way it happened, but this my homegirl. I ended up introducing you to her. And, this my friend. She been my friend. So if you end up hurting her, just know it's me and you, nigga. If you do anything to her, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, I'm really going hard with him. And he's like, yo, you ain't gotta go that hard. Chill out. I'm not gonna do nothing to her. I really like her. All this, that, and stuff. So he just reassuring me that, like, it wasn't no one-time thing with him. And he wasn't in nothing to, like, break her heart or make her hurt or, make anything bad come from the situation. And I was like, cool. If you say that, I trust you. Y'all good guy. But needless to say, none of that was my business. And that shit didn't concern me in the first place, the way I was going hard for her. And she ended up turning her back on me. But I digress. So we ended up going to, we went to the mall, and these niggas was cheap. Xylophone and juice were cheap to the point where I think they was eating off. We had ended up going to BJ's, and they was eating off the kids' menu in the restaurant. So they had all that fancy shit back home, but they was frugal as hell when it came to that money. They was trying to hold on to every dime. Meanwhile, I'm in the mall, being down the mall, shopping, eating good, living my best life, or whatever. So we ended up going to BJ's, and we was just discussing everything. And she was at work, and we was trying to FaceTime her at work to talk about the next step and the next plans. But she kept like acting like she was unavailable. She wouldn't answer the phone, and she was just sending like one message, text replies, or whatever. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Maybe she busy, whatever. And Juice had hopped on the phone and was like, hey girl, where you work at? What you doing? We finna come pick you up, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, no. She was like, no, I'm okay. I'll just meet y'all later. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No, don't come to my job. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'm just like, okay. So she's telling us not to worry about it. Us three rode together all the way in from Arizona, and she stayed here. So if she don't want us to worry about it, we don't gotta worry about it. So we ended up going to the beach, and we ended up getting breakfast at the beach, which was a really good breakfast. We ended up laid out on the beach. I think niggas was even Juice even took a nap on the beach because we was waiting on check-in time at our hotel. We finally checked into the hotel, got into our rooms, and we were getting ready because we were supposed to go out that night. So we was checking in with her all day. She was supposed to be coming, doing this, doing that. And again, she not answering the phone. She not picking up, all this, that, and the third. So I'm getting dressed, getting cute, and because I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to go clubbing. I'm ready to enjoy myself. Whatever. She's still not answering. So I asked Xylophone, I'm like, Xylophone, have you talked to Lonely? Did anything happen? What's going on? Because we're supposed to be getting ready. We got reservations. We're supposed to be getting ready. We're supposed to go. And he was like, no, I ain't talked to her. Blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, I ended up calling her. I was blowing her phone up, calling her, texting her. And then I get the text message that reads, why you keep calling my phone? Don't you get it? You're miserable and nothing good is ever gonna happen in your life. You're the reason I relapsed and I ended up sleeping with Xylophone, and I don't want to be your friend no more because you ain't shit, and blah, 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 blah. So as I'm reading this message, like, she didn't even have the nerves to call me. She texted shit, and I knew she probably blocked me after she texted me. But I didn't call her. I didn't even respond. Because at this point, I'm fucking boiling. I'm hot. I'm ready to beat this bitch's ass. Don't have me spend my money to come out of town to see about you, bitch, just for you to make a mistake or whatever you call it. You end up doing and do what it do. And how does that reflect me? How is that my fault? You the one that brought the liquor. You the one that spreaded your legs for that man. That ain't got shit to do with me. Take that up with that man. It's not like he took anything from you. It's not like it was non-consensual. So I'm in the room hot. I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm like, ooh, she lucky we didn't know where she worked at. We didn't know where she stayed. I guess she was so embarrassed of her situation, her living situation, and everything she had going on. She didn't want us to look down at her, or she didn't want us to judge her based off of her situation. But the fact that we had been friends for so long, I would never look down at you. I would never, make it seem like I'm better than you. You had that shit going on in your head. You stupid. You had that shit made up in your mind of what the fuck somebody was gonna think about you. Cause why? I don't know, y'all. But that's the end of that. And we didn't end up going out. So I wasted so much of my time. We ended up staying in the hotel rooms. We ordered like maybe $100 worth of room service, and they ended up messing the order up. They didn't give me half the stuff I ordered, and I remember that was the first time I ever tasted calamari because I ordered onion rings, and I'm like, these onion rings taste like fish sticks. And that was the first time I ordered calamari, and I ended up calling back, getting a refund, getting my money back. And we had a long, quiet drive home. It was very awkward. It was very weird. And that is how I ended a 8-year friendship with my so-called friend. And if I've learned anything, it's to watch the people you have around you. If they're not jumping up and down, excited when you get something new in your life and you got some shit going on, 9 times out of 10, they're probably a hater. And that's the last type of person you need around you. So that's that. I haven't seen Lonely in years. I don't even have her on social media. So I don't know what that girl got going on, but I just know, you know, I've been blessed. I'm prospering, and I'm just going about my days the best way I know how, being positive, spreading my energy, my joy, and my love onto others. And last time I heard, she was still living in California with her auntie, and they 10 cats and 9 dogs and doing what she do. So shit, who knows? But you can't do wrong by God's people, because shit, wrong will come back to you. No, I'm playing. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for sticking in with me. And let me know if you guys have lost any friends or any relationships, and how has that, you know, how did it happen? How did it make you feel? And how do you move forward on with your new friendships and your new relationships, if you are making any? I know now, as a, you know, a young woman and as a single mom, it is very awkward and very strange to befriend any new people right now, or even know how to make friends as an adult. So if you have any tips and stuff on that, please drop them down below in the comment box, and I would love to read them and connect with you guys. Thank you again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, it's your girl Tottie. I ain't got it all, but I'm on my way to go get it. Peace.